Hi everyone, hope you all are good. We are here for grade 8 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 8 and then click on view all lessons. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter ratios, rates and proportions. The lessons we're going to cover from the chapter are equivalent ratios, unit rates, do the ratios form a proportion, and solve proportions. Okay, let's just start with the lesson. Here I'm on grade 8 math. The chapter we are on right now is ratios, rates, and proportions. Let's just start with the first lesson, that is equivalent ratios. So let's just start with the lesson. Okay, are these ratios equivalent? So how do we see if the ratios are equivalent, right? So two ratios are equivalent if their cross product are equal, right? That means if you cross multiply them, they both have exactly same answer. That means they are the equivalent ratios, right? For example, you have 4 by 5 and 8 by 20, right? Let's just cross multiply. Cross multiply the numerator of the first fraction with the second one. That is 20 times 4 is 80. 4 to 80. And then you can multiply the other 8 times 5. Here you have 80 and here you have 80. They are not equal. That means these two fractions are not equivalent. Got it? But they are equivalent. Okay. The next one is, are these ratios equivalent? You are given the ratios. They are 4 by 2 and 16 over 4, right? If then two fractions are equivalent, if their cross products are equal, cross products means you need to multiply like this and then like this. 4 times 4 is 16 and 16 times 2 is 32. They are not equal. So that means the correct option is they are not equivalent. Okay, let's just start with the practice questions, right? Okay, are these ratios equivalent? So you are given the ratios, you have to see if they are equivalent. How do we see they are 2 to 3 and 16 to 15. The same thing, if their cross product is equal, that means yes, they are equivalent. Just 2 15 times 2, that is 30, and 16 times 3, that is 48. So again, they are not equal. The correct option is no, right? So that means the ratios are not equivalent. The correct option is no. The correct option is they are not equivalent. The correct option is no. Just cross multiply and see if they are equivalent, right? So when you cross multiply, they are 3 by 5 equals 2 by 10. Just cross multiply. 10 times 3 is 30 and 12 times 5 is 60. Again, they are not equivalent. The correct option is no, right? If they are equivalent, the cross product is also equal. The correct option is no. Okay, the next one is, are these ratio equivalent? Which is the correct option, yes or no? The correct option is no, they are not equivalent, right? Just cross multiply. Well, that means they are not equivalent. The correct option is no. No, they are not equivalent, right? The correct option is no, you have to cross multiply them, right? If their product is not equal, that means they are not equivalent. The correct option is no. Are these ratios equivalent 1 by 4 and 5 by 20? So they are 1 by 4 and 5 over 20. Just cross multiply. 20 times 1 is 20 and 5 times 4 is 20. So see, their product is equal. That means yes, they are equivalent. The correct option is yes, it is, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to the next lesson. The next lesson is okay. The next one is equivalent ratios, word problems. You can do the word problems on your own, right? The next one is compare ratios. That too you can do on your own, right? The next one is unit rates. Let's just start with the lesson. Unit rate, the rate of the one thing. You are given the thing, you need to find just the rate of the one thing, right? So let's just start with the first example, that is find the unit rate. You are given 49 push-ups in 7 days. You have to calculate the push-up one, how many, like how many push-ups per day you have to calculate. So 49 push-ups 7 days, right? How do you calculate? A unit rate is a rate where the second amount is 1 unit. So you have 49 push-ups in 7 days, so you have to divide 49 by 7, right? 49 divided by 7 is 7. That means you have 7 push-ups per day, right? Let's just start with the test questions. Okay, find the unit rate. 32 pages in 4 days. You have to calculate how many pages per day. So you simply have to divide 32 by 4. 4 times what number is 32? 4 times 8 is 32, right? That means you have 8 pages per day. The correct option is 8. The correct option is 8 pages per day, right? The next one is 39 seats in 3 rows. How many seats per day? You need to calculate the seats per day, right? So you have to divide 39 by 3. So 39 divided by 3 equals, that is 3 times 1 is 3 and 3 times 3 is 9. So the correct option is 13. That means you have 13 seats per row. The correct option is 13 seats per row. Option number 1 is the correct option. Find the rate 45 liters in 3 minutes, right? So you have to divide 45 by 3. So which is the correct option? Yes, 15 it is. That means 15 liter per minute. The correct option is 15. Okay, the next one is find the unit rate. That is 45 newspaper in 3 piles. So which is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is 15 piles newspaper per pile. The correct option is 15, right? Find the unit rate 22 chairs at 2 tables. So how many chairs per table? Yes, that is 11 chairs per table. The correct option is 11, right? 24 passengers on 2 buses. So how many passenger per bus? Yes, that is 12 passengers per bus. The correct option is 12. Yes, that is 14 kilometers per minute. The correct option is 14. 44 laps in 4 days. So which is the correct option? Yes, that is 11 laps per day. The correct option is 11. 48 plates in 6 stacks. So how many plates per stack? Yes, that is 48 plates in 6 stacks. So that is 6 times 8 is 48. That means you have 8 plates per stack, right? The correct option is 8. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is the next one is you have to do the ratios from a proportion. Let's just start with the next lesson. That is do the ratios from a proportion. Okay, so let's start with the first example. Do the ratio 16 by 8 and 4 by 2 form a proportion. So how do we know, right? Two equivalent ratios form a proportion, right? If the ratios are equivalent, that means they form a proportion, right? And how do we know the ratios are equivalent? If their cross product is equal, that means yes, they are equivalent. You already know this, right? Just look at the examples. Do the ratios 16 by 8 and 4 by 2 form a proportion. Just find their cross product. 16 times 2 is 32 and 4 times 8 is 32. See, both sides are exactly equal. That means yes, they are equivalent and they form a proportion. Got it? Okay, let's just start with the practice questions. Okay, do the ratios 6 by 18 and 1 by 3 form a proportion. So basically, you have to check if they are the equivalent ratios, right? If they are equivalent, that means they form a proportion. How do we check if they are equivalent? You have to cross multiply them, right? 3 times 6 is 18. 18 times 1 is 18, right? You can see both sides are exactly equal. That means yes, they form a proportion. So that means yes, they form a proportion. Let's just start with the okay. The next one is do the ratios 2 by 1 and 16 by 8 form a proportion. Okay, let's see if they are equivalent. They form a proportion 2 by 1 equals 16 by 8. Just cross multiply 8 times 2 is 16 and 16 times 1 is 16. See, the their cross product is equal. That means they form a proportion. The correct option is yes, they form a proportion. Okay, do the ratios 2 by 1 and 16 over 10 form a proportion. Just check and write the answer in the chat box. No, they do not form a proportion. The correct option is no, right? Because the cross product is not equal, so they do not form a proportion. The correct option is no. Do the ratios 16 by 8 and 4 by 2 form a proportion? Their cross product is exactly equal, right? That means yes, they form a proportion. The correct option is yes. Okay, do the ratios 1 by 3 and 4 by 12 form a proportion? Yes, their cross product is equal. That means they form a proportion. The correct option is yes. Okay, the next one is do the ratios 14 by 7 and 2 by 1 form a proportion. So, which is the correct option? Yes, they form a proportion. The correct option is yes. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. And the next lesson is solve proportions. Let's just start with the lesson that is solve proportions. So solve for h in the proportion. You are given the proportion, you have to solve for h, right? How do we solve? Simply cross multiply, right? Multiply 3 other side. So that would be 9 times 3 over 27, right? 9 times 3 is 27 over 27. So h equals 1, right? The correct option is h equals 1. Let's just start with the test questions. Just cross multiply and find the value of the variable h. Like this one. You have to calculate the value of m, right? So you need to isolate m. Just cross multiply 6 on the other side. So that would be m equals 6 times 6 divided by 2 because you need to isolate the variable. 6 times 6 is 36 over 2 and 36 over 2 is 18. Got it? So the correct option is the correct option is 18, right? Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, solve for s in the proportion, right? So let's just start with the, like, you have to simply cross multiply isolate the variable s, that is s equals 18 times 44 over 24, right? So 18 times 44, that is 792, and 792 192 33, right? So the correct option is 33, right? Option number 2 is the correct option, that is 33. So the correct option is 33. Okay, solve for n. So you have to isolate the variable n. 12 is dividing here. So you need to multiply other side, right? 6 times 12 over 8. So 6 times 12 is 72 over 8. So 8 times what number is 72? 9 it is, right? 8 times 9 is 72. The correct option is 9. Okay, solve for j in the proportion. You have to solve now and tell me the answer, right? So which is the correct option? Just solve and write the answer in the chat box. Yes, that is 5. It is option number 1 is the correct option. Which is the correct option? You have to multiply. Okay, let's just solve the one on the board, right? That is 21 over 35 equals 30 over m, right? Simply cross multiply. 21 times m equals 30 times 35, right? Now 21 is multiplying to m, you can divide m 21 other side. That is 31 times 35 over 21. 7 times 3 is 21, 7 times 5 is 35, 3 times 1 is 10, 3 times 10 is 30. So 10 times 5 is 50. So the correct option is 50. That means m equals 50, right? Because 4 m is dividing. That's why I multiplied, like, just cross multiply them. You have 21 times m. Now you can divide both sides by 21 because you need to calculate the value of m only, right? So the correct option is 50. Okay, solve for m in the proportion. I think that's the one which, okay, I forgot to click on the okay button. Okay, solve for h in the proportion, which is the correct option. The correct option is yes, 35 is the correct option. Option number 3 is the correct option, right? Okay, solve for t in the proportion. So you have to solve this proportion for t. So let's just see how do we solve. You have to do the same thing we did with the question earlier one. 4 times 40 over t equals 10 over 12, right? Just cross multiply them. So that would be t times 10 equals 40 times 12, right? Now you can divide 10 other side because you need to calculate the value of t. 10 times 4 is 40 and 12 times 4 is 48. That means the correct option is 48. Option number 1 is the correct option, right? Which is the correct option? 48 is right. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So we were working on grade 8 math. The chapter we were working on is ratios, rates and proportions. The lessons we have covered today are equivalent ratios. You have to do the word problems on your own. Then we have start unit rates, do the ratios, form a proportion and solve proportions. So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we did today. If you need more help with it, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday 5 to 9, or either you can join me in the interactive session that would be daily from 4 to 5 and from 9 to 10. Right? So that's all for today. If you have any question related to the lessons we have just finished, you can please ask question if you have any. Any questions? questions? Okay, then that's all for today. See you in the